Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of America's Signature Podcast. Today I got James Pinsky, goes by Jay. How you going, Jay?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. So go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So, my name, Jay Pinsky. Most people probably know me in this world for the editor of the Hunting Wire. I've done some other freelance work as well. And then I'm a hunter and shooter just like you guys are. So that's my claim to fame. I'm a retired military guy. Was a combat photographer. Did that for most of my time in the military and the Navy. Retired chief. Spent a little bit of time on subs when I first started. Been all over the planet and under the planet, I guess, in the submarine community. Work for the USDA Rural Development now, along with being the editor for the Hunting Wire. So I stay busy. Just got married in May, so I'm busy.
Busier by the day. So you said you did 20 years in the Navy, and you and I talked about this. And for those who don't know, you and I know each other prior to this interview. So we already know a lot of the details. So a lot of the questions I'm asking her for the purposes of the interview, but I hopefully learn some myself. So you did your 20 years
Sure.
in the Navy. You're a combat photographer. Is that where you got all your photography skills? What was going on using film back then? I guess that was before digital or mirrorless. It's probably all film. How was that, man?
I'm not that old. So actually,
Well, yeah, but the military so behind.
I started out
just because digital was out.
Yeah. Well, so I knew very little about photography before I joined the military, but I thought I was going to be a mechanical engineer, and I was in the submarine fleet. And I enjoyed that, but it wasn't inspiring work. And then I started my own newspaper on a submarine because we were bored out of our mind. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have email. So I started a magazine or a newspaper, and the crew loved it. I loved making the crew happy. The leadership on board thought that my gifting, you and I are both God-fearing men. They thought my gifting was communications and writing and that kind of thing. So they helped me change jobs in the military, and I became a journalist. And then the military got a hold of me, and they taught me a lot. They taught me how to write better. They taught me how to shoot cameras. And we started out with slide film and regular film. And then in 2003 or so, 2004, we started transitioning to digital. Did that, started out with the huge Kodak Nikon monster things that were like this big, the 720X, dragging those bricks around. Eventually started, I remember when the D1 was a really big deal. And then I toured Iraq and Afghanistan with D2Xs and D3s. Those cameras were very well made, and they did a great job. But yeah, I like to tell people, and it's the truth. Yeah.
I just said, Canon makes good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was in the Seabees, which is part of the Navy, what's the right word? I was able to acquire some Canon equipment. That's what we had to do. And the Canons I shot and I took with me on deployment with the Seabees were F1s. Those were very simple, well-made film cameras. And I remember many, many times using that camera body to pound in tick stakes when they would get loose on deployment. And of course, they still worked. And I put them in my backpack and dragged them all over the world, and they always worked. I still love the Canon system and the old L series or whatever. I can't remember the FD series lenses. Those were. I shot Canon. I shot Nikon. I shot Pentax. I shoot Sony right now. I shot Fuji for a while. They all work. I shot Minolta, Olympus. So they all work. It's just like a gun. If you know what you're doing, you'll be fine. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll look good, but that's about it. So yeah.
Before I interrupted you, you said you tell everybody this even though they don't believe you.
Oh yeah. I learned how to write from my high school sweetheart. She lived about 30 miles away from me, back in the 80s and 90s. I met her when I was 12. I dated her all the way through high school. Long distance phone bills were a thing back then, and I would get my butt whipped charging up phone bills. So I wrote a lot of letters. I mean, hand wrote cursive letters every day, sometimes 2 or 3 letters a day to that girl. And I had to learn how to write, and I did. And I say it half-heartedly, but honestly, that is where I really fell in love with writing and the ability to communicate and trying to make sure someone understood what I was trying to say, and making sure I told them what I thought they were trying to say. So a lot of practice, probably, I don't know, dated her maybe 8 years. So figure thousands of letters. So a lot
Oh,
of
wow.
practice.
So,
A lot of
so,
practice. Yep.
so fast forward, you get out of the Navy. What's your next step?
So I got out of the Navy, retired in 2012. I started working for a newspaper where I lived. I enjoyed that work. I was a community reporter. I reported on conservation and government and anything else that was happening in the little town near where I live. I live in Northern Virginia, a little town called Remington. I worked in a newspaper that was in Warrenton, and I really liked that job. The pay was terrible, but I got to talk to everybody. I got to know who had information, who didn't. People trusted me with information. I was able to keep my mouth shut about things. And for the most part, I would sit either at a local bar that had good burgers or a couple other places in town and gather all the intel I needed about what was happening in that world. So I learned that from the Navy because I had an old crusty master chief teach me that if I ever wanted to know what was happening on a ship, just go to the smoke deck, be quiet and sit in the corner and you'll find out. And that's true. And that's true in life too. If you go where people are and where they're relaxing and venting and you just shut up and pay attention, you'll find out what's going on. People talk. So that's still true today.
Yeah, oh yeah. The old water cooler conversations for sure.
Yep. I started doing some freelance work in the gun industry. I remember working for an editor, Humphreys. He's with Springfield Armory now. He was with, I think, Harris Media back then. I think they changed names a lot. They're Athlon now. But yeah, Humphreys broke me in. One of the nicest guys in the industry. Still true. Just a gentleman, family man. Real patient with me. Helped me learn the trade. Broke my teeth, or broke into the industry with Harris and Athlon. Did fine with those guys, branched out, did some writing for NRA and Gun Digest, a few other publications. Eventually found my way to the Hunting Wire through some mentors. Richard Mann left the Hunting Wire and continued to grow and do well. He's with Field and Stream now, and amongst other things. But he introduced me to the Hunting Wire. I took that over from him. And then the rest is history. We've been able to do some really amazing things at the Hunting Wire because of the support of the Outdoor Wire group, Jim Shepard and those guys. It pretty much let me do whatever I needed to do and how I needed to do it. And I thought about what our community needed and what was missing. And then I'm constantly canvassing people in the community about what's working, what's not, what needs to be said, what doesn't need to be said. And that's where we are. So it's, constantly changing. Hopefully it's helpful to people. Hopefully people like the Hunting Wire and they get good information. I certainly hope that if there are things that we can do differently or better, that people tell me, because I want to know. I always want to put out the best product I can. And I really enjoy working with new writers and helping people who are really good at hunting or shooting and maybe don't think that they can communicate, and helping them learn how to communicate and turning them into some great writers. Dan Larson, who happens to be Andy Larson's son, who owns Skinner Sights. Dan's a really good man, and he goes on these great adventures. I got a hold of him and asked him to start writing for me, and he is really, over the past couple of years, I feel like he's really turned into someone very special with the pen. I love reading his stories and hearing his adventures. But I mean, I've worked with a lot of writers, Kim Perot and lots of other people who are just phenomenal, world-class guys. But I just get out of their way. But the younger guys, I really like showing them what they can do and hearing what they have to say and watching them grow. Because the truth of the matter is there's way better hunters out there than me. And I'm good at finding them and helping them tell their story. So that's what our editor probably should do, is find the guys who are really great at it and help them learn how to write.
That's great. Now, wrap all this conclusion of your history in, did you always grow up hunting, or was it something you got into as you got older? So we got the military, we got the writing editor part of it. Where did you start hunting and shooting, and where did that come into play?
Sure. So my mom took me to church every Sunday. I grew up in North Carolina as an Army brat. My dad was a retired Army guy, and he never took me anywhere. He was just a busy guy. And I think looking back at things now, I think he probably had a lot of issues from being in Vietnam. And I think that probably affected him. We just didn't go and do much, and that was okay. He provided for me in lots of other ways. So my mom would take me to church with her, and there was a youth director named Danny Tao. And Danny knew my family situation, which was good. I just didn't hunt. I didn't shoot. But he served as a mentor to me and helped me figure out how to shoot and took me hunting. And we spent a lot of windshield time together, traveling to different places and talking about life and, all the things that a young boy or young girl ought to be doing with good mentors. So that's where I fell in love with hunting, was him and what he taught me. And that's probably why I spend more time watching nature, and why I probably am not that obsessed with the kill, is because that just wasn't what hunting was to me when I was growing up. It was the opportunity to find someone that you had something in common with and talk and explore things. And it's always been enough for me. And it was true then, and it's true now. When I was a kid, I didn't really understand why the woods just calmed me and why I was perfectly content to sit under a tree in the swamps, watch a deer go by or a squirrel or anything else, and just be happy. And that's still true now. Sometimes I wish, I was the guy that really wanted to climb the side of a 15,000-foot mountain and punch an elk in the face, but I'm not. I'm just not. But I appreciate the guys that are. Hunting's just always been my fix. It's always just calmed me. And I think that's because that's what Danny did. Danny helped to teach me how to use the woods to find God, to find myself, and to recharge. And I've come back to that. So that's how I've got my love for it. I left it. I didn't do any hunting or fishing really when I was in the Navy. I didn't have any time. I just didn't have the time. I didn't think about it. I was too busy doing other things. Once I got back to Virginia towards the end of my military career, I found the time, started hunting again. My friends from the military, they hunted and fished, and I just got into it some more, and here I am.
Yeah, that's great. And so kind of let everybody know how you and I got connected. They're a mutual friend, Eric Suarez.
Eric Suarez. Yep.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm podcast for another military guy. We seem to always flock to each other a little bit. But he and I met through Remington when he was still at Remington, and I was just starting to get my feet wet and was doing some media hunts with them. And I got to do a little writing for SWAT and do a couple of social media stuff with him. And so he and I met, and of course he's just a big gun guy, can build guns, he can talk all the dopage, all the science, all the math. He just has all that, and even more so the dude. And so I've learned from him all that kind of stuff. He don't live far from me, and so he and I got talking, and he left Remington and was doing some of his own media stuff and doing things. He was going on about something. I was talking about wanting to write more and do some more. He said, "I need to introduce you to Jay." I said, great, who's Jay? And he linked us up in an email. And then we kind of just got on from there.
Oh yeah, I talk to Eric almost every day. In fact, this morning he hit me up for contact, and I didn't have it, so he gave me a rash of crap. But that's okay. But he's a great guy. He's now the marketing guy or PR guy for Meprolite, and they couldn't have hired a better guy. He's solid. He was solid when he was at Remington. You know, it's obvious once you meet him why he was a Marine Spec Ops guy. He's a great friend. And we serve on a board together for On Mission Motorsports, which helps first responders and veterans cope with whatever they may be dealing with in life through adrenaline therapy. They race. Eric himself has a car. They race these off-road vehicles through the woods at crazy speeds, both day and night. And Eric's pretty good. I'm not sure how good he is, but he wins more races than he loses, or at least he has so far. But he got me into that, and we continue to give back. Yeah, Eric's a great man.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to him in a couple of weeks, but he messaged me up too long ago, wanting to know when I was going to get in a car with him. I said, man, we'll see.
You should.
I said, I'm all about it.
Just don't eat anything before you get in that car. Don't.
Yeah.
You'll eat later. So, yeah.
So now the stuff I'm doing, American Suture Podcast, is we've partnered with the Hunting Wire, and you brought us on, and we're doing a run right now where once a month we're releasing the podcast in order on the Hunting Wire. And so tell everybody about that and how they can find the Hunting Wire, how they can subscribe to it, and the partnership.
Yep. Sure. So the Hunting Wire is part of the family of wires, like Tactical Wire. The Outdoor Wire is the biggest one everyone knows. Archery Wire, Fishing Wire. I think there's a Birding Wire. We're all the same family. Hunting Wire comes out every other week on a Monday, typically, and it's subscription based in the sense that you sign up online and it's free. It's free to subscribe. It comes right to your email box, and then of course it's on the website as well. But it comes to your email box first. And if you're on the wires, if you're reading the wires, or if your stuff's in the wires, whether you as a company or a personal account, chances are most of the industry, if not all of the industry, is looking at what's there. Because that's what it is. It's a trade newsletter type magazine type thing. And while certainly anyone can read it, and anyone does read it all around the world, the majority of people that read the wires are the people who are in our industry. And they definitely want to know who's doing what, who's successful, who's moving, what new technologies out there, what companies are supporting what efforts, who's partnering with who cares about certain issues, and who's doing things. Linda Powell over at Mossberg gave me a really great lesson in, how good PR works, and how sometimes, a good company will sometimes help the little guy because it's the right thing to do, and not because there's a lot of money in it, or there's a lot of opportunity for exposure, because that's what we're supposed to do. And if you know Linda Powell at all, you'll understand that she's always been that way. She's always been somebody who has always done the right thing for her customers and her company and the community. So I took that lesson on board, and I hope that whenever I have the opportunity to do something for somebody from where I am, and they don't expect me to do something to help them, I do. I hope that I have that moment in our industry where I get to be someone like a Linda Powell to somebody else, because it can change your career,
So you're talking about Linda Powell. You introduced me to her. Yeah. She actually emailed me this morning, and yeah, she seems great. And I think I'm going to do a review for them over the duck hunt season on one of their products. And so I'm excited. Yep. I'm excited about that. And to me, it's fun. You bring a good point. And I'm still new in this whole industry. When I started, I went to the media hunt first time, and they asked me to write for SWAT. And I was like, I'm ready to write my name, let alone write. And it's like, oh, you can tell a good story, and we'll worry about the grammar part after that. Just tell the story. We can do it. So Jessica Callum really got me started and all that. And and I'm still learning, still writing, and doing that kind of stuff. And talking about the contacts, that's such a big part of the industry is knowing people to write for, knowing people like yourself for the hunting wire, or people that work with brands, and building yourself a reputation, not somebody that's just wanting products or wanting a free hunt, but somebody that can, A, is a reputable person, B, because if you're going to tie somebody to your brand, even if it's just for a story or just for, a snapshot of something, that person's got to be reputable enough and not bring, some kind of media bag, you got to be of a certain great character. And I feel like, in social media's age, we got to the point where everybody's photo and everybody's doing stuff, and having those contacts and meeting people, and like you said, everybody's brought you up, and how you're helping other people like myself now. And I ain't, I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm not afraid to say that I'm asking for help, and people mentoring me like yourself. And that's what I'm going to do. But having people like that, that's the only way to make those contacts, to build a reputation, and get to do stuff. And like I said, like Linda emailed me today. That was a contact you had set me up with, and he come with a word from you. Hey, here's Kenny. Here's your story. I can vouch for him. He would do something great for you if you give him the opportunity. And then now hopefully I'm gonna get to do a review for them and work with them a little bit during the winter. And I'm excited about it. So it's crazy how the industry works that way.
It does, and I've certainly made my fair share of mistakes in the industry, and I think that everybody probably has. But the key is to get up, get yourself up, own your mistakes, and keep moving forward. But that's, what, that's true for everything. So, I mean, sometimes people ask me, and I'm still low on the totem pole. There are much better writers who are much, much, much more successful than I am. But they ask me, for advice. And I say, look, the outdoor industry is no different than anything else. Work hard, surround yourself with people that are already doing the things that you want to do. Ask questions, be willing to take on the jobs that no one else wants, and be polite, please and thank you. I remember when I became an editor for the Hunting Wires, my first job as an editor in the outdoor industry. And I remember working with this writer that an industry, a gun company sent me this writer. And I was excited because I love the PR guy for this company. He's just a great guy, super noble, smart. And so I was excited to work with this writer. I didn't know him. I didn't care because the person that sent him to me was just such a great person. I had this conversation with this guy, and he's just a complete jerk. And I just thanked him for his time, and in the future, we'll have a better opportunity for you, which, I don't know how everybody else is, but that's a polite way of saying, see you later. But I just don't know what happened, because I don't think anybody cares how good you are or what you do if they don't like you, or if you're a jerk. There's too many writers out there, I think, for that to work. So maybe I caught him on a bad day. I don't know, but that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, or aspiring writer, somebody willing to do it, and they may not be the most articulate, but they kill themselves to do such a thing.
Oh, I'd rather work with a new writer that doesn't even know what a comma is than a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist who is a jerk. But that's a luxury. It's a luxury for me, and sometimes it's not a luxury for other people. And it doesn't mean that you don't learn to get along with people that maybe you wouldn't invite over for dinner, but it also reminds me to not be that person, because I have my moments. I can be a jerk. I can be short with my words. I can be in a bad mood. I can make mistakes. And whenever I run across someone who does something that maybe isn't the best, it reminds me not to be that person, and hopefully as I get older, that happens less and less, and I do things better and better every time. So that's the hope anyway, right?
Oh yeah, there's a little cowboy I used to ride with. He's big in the cutting world, but he'd give free lessons and horse training and just do stuff all the time. And I talked about it, of course he's well off, and I said, I've always been raised that the value of him was what he did for people that couldn't do anything for him. He said, everybody can be nice to the person that they can get something out of, or it'll benefit them in the future, or somebody that's important, to benefit the person that does everything for the people who can absolutely do nothing for them in return, whether it be forwarding their career or whatever, just doing it because they want to. That's usually the metal of a man he aspired to be.
I tell you what, when you said that, it immediately made me think, and I don't know every single person in the industry. I don't think anybody does, but I know a few, and easily, and everybody I know for the most part is a hard worker, and they're ethical and they do well. But the hardest working and the most talented and the most gifted person I've worked with is a guy named Jim Pinsky, and he's up in, I think, Connecticut, Massachusetts, up north. One of those. They're kind of all the same. That's a joke, but anyway, he used to be an NSSF, and then for whatever reason, he's not there anymore. And Outdoor Stewards of Conservation, I think, is the nonprofit he's on. He helped start, but he works on the Hunting Wire with me for the Voice of Leadership panel, and he does all of this as a volunteer, and he puts in tons of hours because he cares so much about our community, and he's so well connected, and he's so well versed in all of the different issues. And the thing about Jim Pinsky is he's that good at everything, and he's so well versed in everything, and he's so well connected with everyone, but he's the nicest guy in the industry. Where do you find that? You don't. So I just don't understand why a major corporation or a major foundation or any sort of major, big, powerful company hasn't scooped this guy up to run things for them, because that's where he belongs. He's the guy. He's your Yoda. He's the guy that you stick at the top of your HR food chain for your ambassadors, your writers, your program managers. He's the guy that you take, you put him in your gene pool or whatever, and you let him interact with all your employees, because he's going to make all of them better. He's going to make your company better. He's going to make your signature with the environment and with the public better. He's going to make you better. And I say that because that's what he's done for me. And that's what he's done for the past two panels that we've had. And that's what he's going to do for the next panel, if he's willing to come on and continue to help me. He's just the best. I don't know, the most valuable person in our community, as far as I'm concerned. And I hope that he's doing exactly what he wants to do. You never really know. That's kind of a personal answer for someone. But if for some reason he's not, if for some reason there's somewhere he wants to be, or if there's somebody out there who needs that very special person that can change the direction of a company or take an average company and make them elite, he's your guy. And it's from understanding outdoor industry to understanding people to understanding legal aspects of things to being able to manage huge egos. I mean, I run a leadership panel, and we have huge egos on that panel. So, some people have huge, other ones don't. The big egos never really match the accomplishments, right? Because that's how God makes us laugh. But he's able to manage them all, and he's taught me that over the past 2 years in a very remarkable way. So, while we were on the subject of who people are and how important it is to do the right thing, I wanted to make sure that I talked about the person that I know who is the best at that, and that's Jim Pinsky. So I hope that's okay.
No, you had linked me up with him too while I was on the border still. And I remember he called me one day, talked about his nonprofit, and I can't remember. I was driving on the Mexican border. I mean, in the middle. I don't even know how I had service. We was driving through a river washout, and about 5 mile journey. It takes about 2 hours to get through it. And I spent about half that time on speakerphone with him, just talking and having a conversation, and said that we carry it back over when I got home. So I'm glad he brought him back up, because now I need to reach back out to him and have him on the show.
Oh yeah.
That'd be cool.
You need to. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
No, that
Well,
definitely super nice.
I'm waiting for you to ask me about. Oh yeah.
What's that?
I'm waiting for you to ask me about my girl.
Well, hey, your girl. Let me caveat this. So we have a sidebar story. Little girl named Allie. And me caveat with this saying I am not a pro dog trainer. I know a little bit. I have friends who are pro dog trainers. One of my best friends is, so I pick up stuff. But I know Eric had reached out to me at one time. I think maybe it was you, or it might have been Eric. Said, "Hey, got a guy. It was you looking for a dog. We looked for a couple. None of them were really the right fit. Then we just kind of left it at that." Well,
they were good
one
fits.
day I come home,
I couldn't afford them.
Yeah. I started hunting dog, and they're not cheap, especially ones done right.
No.
And I have to buy them and train them myself. But we had puppies at the house, and I ain't been home from the border probably 2 weeks. And my wife calls me and said, "Hey, there's this black lab trying to get in the house." So what do you mean? She's like, she's in the back door. She's not being mean, but she just won't go away, and got these puppies back here, and Ava's back here, and Ava's my dog. And, she's worried about a strange dog coming up here with the puppies and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So I said, well, just leave her be. The puppies are locked up. Won't be no issue. So that evening, as I come home, I pick my son up from kindergarten, and we swing by Jack's, because it was a Friday, and usually on Fridays I swing by Jack's and get him chicken or milkshake or something. We swing by Jack's, get him chicken. We was in my hunting truck, my hunting excursion when I hunt out of. We pulled up to our mailbox. I live on a long driveway, so I pulled up to our mailbox, opened my door, went out and got some mail, and my son started hollering at me. And I come in there and see what the matter was, and there was this black lab sitting in there eating his chicken nugget or chicken fingers from Jack's out of his hand, but wouldn't get out of my car. So I always got little leashes and stuff on me. And I don't know nothing about this dog, other than I can tell it's already asleep. So I got a little slip leash out of my door and put it on it. And my whole family live on 40 acres together. I knew my parents had an empty kennel, actual running pen at their house, because I wasn't about to bring it to my house with the puppies and stuff. So I grabbed her up, walked her on the leash, put her in the pen, gave her some water, started hitting up the neighbors, hitting up Facebook. Nobody claimed her. I waited a day or two, still nobody claimed her. I've messed with her a little bit, super sweet. She's crazy about retrieving. Was already starting to walk on a leash. Just in a day or two I had her. I was like, hey, this might be the dog for Jay. So I called you. I wanted to do the right thing in case somebody was missing their beloved pet. I called you and gave you a heads up. I took it to the pound. It was not microchipped. I dropped it off, and I said, hey, it's a 7-day hold at our pound. I dropped it off and said, hey, if this dog is not clean in 7 days, I may have somebody that would want her. I said, but let me know. And then I literally got in the parking lot and called you. Say, hey, here's what I got. Here's the deal.
Yep. The rest is history. I wrote a story about her, and all hunters exaggerate, right? But as you know, you read that story. There's zero exaggeration. Everything happened exactly as I wrote it. That dog was all God in that, because how is she going to find, and she's been on several hunts now. She's hunted quail, she's hunted chukar, she's hunted pheasants. I didn't know she'd like chicken nuggets, so I'll have to work on that. So, but she is amazing. And the best part about Allie, and I named her Alabama, because you live in Alabama, and that's where she came from. And she likes the name. But what's funny about that is, I needed a hunting dog, and she is, and she's a great retriever, and she keeps me fit and happy and occupied. And I work from home and she won't let me sit longer than a half an hour, which is good, right? But I also got married, and I've got a 16-year-old young lady in the house who, to be very polite, she needed that dog a lot more than I did. So while I appreciate the fact I get to hunt with Allie, when I think about why she came into my life, it was for her. So, and that's okay. The fact that I get to hunt with her is a bonus.
Yeah, and I tell everybody, and I'm not in the dog business, but we do breed our dog and sell puppies out of her. I don't run a mill. We do it here in the house, do that kind of stuff. But I've told several people they've wanted a hunt dog. I said, just go to the pound and get you a lab, general lab, play with it a little bit, see if it'll retrieve a sock or something in there. And you can turn one of those, as a general rule, into at least a meat dog that'll go get your birds and bring it back to you. When we do all this bloodlines and stuff, which I have on, all you're doing is loading the dice. Mom and daddy did it, grandparents did it, everybody down the line did it. So you're just increasing your chances of them doing it. The dog you want doing it, and you're increasing your chances of having good bloodline and health clearances. And if you do want to breed in the future, to continue that, then you're giving yourself a foundation to do that on. I mean, we took Allie, 7 days was up. I picked her up from the town. I dropped her off at the vet. They spayed her, which is because they're part of the deal of getting one from the pound like that. Well, I can't remember. You might remember. I think we spent like $160 on all that from the pound and everything.
Yeah.
And some eye drops she needed because she had a little eye infection from being on the run for so long.
That's gone.
I kept her here for maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Put some obedience on her, got her retrieving, started shooting over. I even took her hunting one time after the hunt was over. Actually, twice. We went out there and threw some of the dead ducks up there and just practiced with her. And I mean, she was born for it, and she comes from the county pound.
She loves it.
Loves it.
She loves it.
Had her.
You can't give her enough attention.
No, I got 2 young kids, and she can lay in there with them and be with them, and no problems.
Oh yeah, she's wonderful. She's she's a little bit of a diva in the house now, but she must have read the story. But yeah, she gets along with my wife, and it was funny because the other night, this just happened. The other night, Wendy's upstairs, Allie's upstairs, and I'm in the bathroom, and Allie's just kind of being a handful, and I close the door, take do what I need to do in the bathroom. I walk out of the bathroom and I see Wendy talking to Allie in her ear. She's whispering something in her ear. I don't know what it is, but after that conversation, Allie just kind of looked at Wendy, and since then they've become best friends. And I asked Wendy, I was like, what the hell did you say to my dog? She goes, just 2 girls talking. Don't you worry about that. I was like, okay. And I don't know, but she's a different dog with Wendy now,
Yeah.
I don't know what she says. I probably don't want to know. But I'm sure the women listeners are going, I know exactly what she said, but I don't need to know. I don't want to know. But yeah, she's yeah. So Wendy and Allie both broke into upland hunting together with me, and she's retrieved everything. Is she, ribbon winning award, bloodline, pedigree, yada? Nope. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate and admire all the work and effort and investment it takes to get those kinds of dogs. And I know that there's value to that, and I respect that industry. But it wouldn't have made a hill of beans of difference to me with Allie. She's everything I could have ever wanted. And she's great. I know, gosh, you gave me I can't remember the gentleman's name, the DVD that you gave me to try, but I watched it. I do that religiously. I still do that. Yep. Chris Aiken, we still do that every day. You know, I work with her on retrieve and obedience and heel and different birds and blind retrieve and force fetch. We are working on that every day. And we probably work on it anywhere between 5 and 7 times a day. And Bren, which is my stepdaughter, the 16-year-old I was talking about, she works with her. I gave her the DVD. I said, this is the kind of dog that Allie is. She's a hunting dog and she's a professional. This is what she does. She's trained to do this. So if you want to play with her, that's great. But you can also help her be really good at what she does. And this is how you do it. And once Bren understood that, she watched the video and she coaches her just like I would. In fact, probably better. So that, being able to give Bren the gift of being able to train a dog and work with her has really helped her self-confidence. Allie's a big girl. She's 75 pounds. And I know that's not the biggest dog in the world, but you got to remember a highly ambitious Labrador retriever with that kind of drive, which is ridiculous, is a lot of dog. And Bren handles her quite well. And it's given her a lot of self-esteem and confidence. And any father out there, stepfather, knows that giving your daughter or stepdaughter self-confidence and self-esteem is absolutely the best thing you could ever do. And Allie helps her with that every day. So it's pretty nice. Pretty nice to watch, pretty nice to see. And so that's Allie. So she's the gift that keeps on giving. And,
cool.
Yeah. She doesn't even laugh at me when I miss birds.
Yeah, good dog won't. They'll just sit there and get ready to go for the next one. But Jay, I appreciate your time, bud. I appreciate the talk. I learned a couple new things about you, actually, some Navy stuff. So that's pretty cool. And so I tell everybody the Hunting Wire. I myself, I'm subscribed to the Hunting Wire, of course, but our podcast's on there. But I also subscribe to the Outdoor Wire, the Shooting Wire, and the Tactical Wire. Those are the ones that I'm interested in, and so I read all those. But if anybody needs to reach out to him, like I said, James Pinsky, thehuntingwire.com. Always writing. You got any ideas for stories? Send him an email. Product ideas.
My email is jay at theoutdoorwire.com.
Good deal.
And then the Hunting Wire is just www.thehuntingwire.com. Yep. I think it's it's just Hunting Wire. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You think I'd know. It's huntingwire.com. So
good deal. Well, Jay, I appreciate it. Very good talk to you. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, Kenny.
All right, later.
Later.